When you are working on a new product initiative or a new epic, you often need to be able to think in depth about the problem and the solution and discuss this with the team. This thinking process is complex, as while you define your hypothesis or requirements, you may need to go back to the problem or run a user interview to learn more about the problem. This process is far from linear, as your objective is to think, explore alternatives, evaluate all the potential risks and limitations, and gather informations and stakeholder input while doing this. For that reason, you often don't want to do that in a document and want to have a more collaborative and flexible space to work on it. If that is the case, you may find this tool useful. It's one of our initiative canvas. It focuses on 3 key sections: the problem and user pain, the objective, and the requirements. You start writing a quick overview right here and define who would this affect. Identify which users will be affected and when. Also think about how each user could have different needs. If you have different use cases, you may want to use different sticky notes and add a color to each user type. Then you move to defining the problem. Ask yourself why at least 3 times until you can understand the root of the problem. While you are doing this, you may notice that you are making assumptions, so start adding those here. This is very important, as you don't want to start working on something that is not actually solving the problem, and you don't want to do it just based on assumptions. It's possible that by now you find yourself in a place in which you have too many questions and want to start doing research. If so, go ahead and do that research. Then come back to the board and add all the findings here. This is your board where you can think and have access to key information. Then move to the success criteria once you are ready. Define the desired state and how you will measure success. Now you go back to this section here. Think about risks and assumptions and try to organize any unknowns that are too risky to remain as unknown on the top, and do the same with the risks section. Discuss with your team how you can mitigate or validate some of those assumptions. Add all your decisions insights section or in the conclusion section or around the insights section. It's very important that everyone can access that knowledge. Now you may want to go back and change the details of the solution or add more information about the problem or the user pain. Go back and forth as many times as you need until the problem and the solution align and you have a mitigation plan for some of those risks and have found answers to some of your questions. Once ready, it's time for you to start thinking about the user stories, the acceptance criteria, and the requirements. I personally enjoy adding the user stories in order. Whatever happens, first add it first and add each requirement on sticky note so that I can move them up and down and decide what's out of scope while I think and discuss the solution with the design and engineering team. That is just my preference, so feel free to organize this in a different way. Now, you have the documentation ready to start the discussion with all the stakeholders. The final version may be added to Jira or the software you use to create epics and tickets for the engineering team. That is how you can use this tool. If you have questions, you can find some tips and instructions on the right side of the platform. And as mentioned earlier, you can add links and resources here, and also all your conclusions and findings right here. This is a good way to keep track of decisions and also have all your links and resources in one place. To use this tool, add a session to a project like this and choose this tool. Here, once you select the tool, everything will be ready for you.